What the Business YouTube, episode 50. My name's Jay Florida, and today's career of discussion is a flight attendant. So, what is a flight attendant? A flight attendant is a trained airline professional whose primary responsibility is to ensure the safety and security of passengers during air travel. Their secondary duties include tending to passenger comfort, serving food and beverages, and addressing onboard needs. Now, to give you a piece of history, the first flight attendant in history was Heinrich Kubis, a German serving passengers on a Zeppelin airship in 1912, followed by pioneer Ellen Church, a nurse who became the first female flight attendant in 1930 by successfully arguing that a nurse on board would calm people's fears of flying. A few basic requirements to becoming a flight attendant include 1 year in customer or hospitality service, a valid U.S. passport, and the ability to travel unrestricted internationally, completing physical screenings such as vision and hearing tests, no visible tattoos or piercings, and obtaining your FAA certificate of demonstrated proficiency. Now, becoming an established flight attendant can take you anywhere from 6 months to 2 years and cost you anywhere from $300 to $3,000 when considering training and relocating. As far as your range as an entry-level flight attendant, you can expect to make $30,000 to $50,000, with a few things affecting how much you take home being your number of flight hours in the airline you attend, language skills, and international routes. A day in life as a flight attendant can be described as constant travel with opportunities to see different cities, customer care, irregular schedules, and physically draining. As far as opportunity, anyone can become a flight attendant if they chose to do so without any particular barriers being in the way. For that reason, the flight attendant scores green. And as far as examples for this episode, we are short of a list since this is not a career that dubs you fame or notoriety. However, if you're wanting more information on what it's like to be a flight attendant or even how to become a flight attendant, you can have that conversation with a flight attendant the next time you're boarding a plane or going to travel somewhere. And if you want to see more of this content and better, make sure to comment, like, and subscribe. Moving on to our fact moment segment of this episode, starting off with fact number 1. Commercial airlines have a maximum altitude of 45,000 feet. Fact number 2. Aviation accounts for about 2.5% of total global fossil fuel CO2 emissions and is responsible for nearly 5% of global warming when considering non-CO2 effects like contrails and nitrogen oxides, emitting roughly 880 to 950 million tons of CO2 annually. And fact number 3. At high altitudes, the combination of low air pressure and dry air significantly reduces your sensitivity to sweet and salty flavors by roughly 30%. And for our last segment, before we move on to the circle of influence, we have health risks and mitigation. Starting off with musculoskeletal disorders as a result of frequent exposure to G-forces and extended periods of standing. Mental health conditions such as insomnia and stress as a result of long hours of work and irregular sleep schedules, and cosmic radiation and cancers due to frequent exposure to high altitudes. As far as mitigation, you should practice routine medical checkups, utilize mental health support resources, and practice healthy eating and physical activity whenever possible. Now, that does it for our primary segment. I'm going to go ahead and give the floor to my co-host for the Circle of Influence. What the Business YouTube? If you don't know, the Circle of Influence is a small compilation of statistics and ideas that may influence a person into or away from pursuing a certain career or position. Now, starting off the circle of influence, we have respect. Is this a career or position that brings me respect and dignity? Now, as a flight attendant, you are making the experience of flying more pleasurable, less nerve-wracking, and are practically the first responders for your flight guests. For that reason, the flight attendant scores green. Moving on, we have growth. Is this a career or position that presents me with the opportunity to grow from a $100,000 earning threshold? And for this segment, the flight attendant scores yellow, with sources online maxing the flight attendant out at $200,000 per year. Next, we have gore. Is this a career or position that will have me dealing with an abundance of blood, violent action, grotesque imagery, or scenery? For this segment, the flight attendant scores green, as in no, you will not be dealing with any of the mentioned before. And for our last ideological standpoint, we have moral conflict. Is this a career or position that will have me compromise any of my foreseeable morals? Don't lie, don't cheat, don't steal, don't kill. The basic set of guidelines. And for this segment, the flight attendant also scores green. Moving on to the statistical side of things, we have gender demographics, where men make up 20% of the industry and women make up a whopping 80% of the entire industry. Next, we have ethnic demographics, where Caucasians account for 59% of the industry, Hispanics make up 16% of the industry, and African Americans make a total 10% of the industry. And for our last standpoint, we have location demographics, top paying states, where actually no states will be paying you more than another, since this is a career that will have you traveling state to state and potentially overseas. Instead, we have top paying airlines, no particular order, starting off with Delta Airlines, followed by American and United Airlines, and closing things out with Southwest Airlines. Now that does it for the circle of influence. I'm gonna go ahead and give the floor back to Florida. I'm back. Just to summarize the flight attendant, it is a highly respectable women's dominated field that provides you with opportunities to travel and see different cities, as well as move around from a $100,000 earning threshold. And while anyone can become a flight attendant, I believe that most men simply don't apply themselves for this sort of position, much like women in construction. However, they do still have a presence in the industry. With that being said, it does look like we have a full episode here today. The word of the day is pistol. Self-help resources on the board. As always, I'll leave it down in the description. And again, to show your support, if you want to see more of this content and better, make sure to comment, like, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys on episode 51.